Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series for Game 2 of the afternoon. Don't you feel special? As well you should, because you are, and I mean that in a completely non-pejorative sense. Today's second game is going to be a ladder match between Clan Tag Seaton and BC's Usuk Madik. And I have no idea or concept if that is even remotely close to how that name is supposed to sound, so I'm going to be calling you Maddie for the rest of the game. Please don't be offended, and trust me, it's a lot better than me trying to stumble through that name and getting it wrong. And don't worry as well, Maddie's an entirely unisex name these days. I looked it up, so you have no right to be offended whatsoever. And also, incidentally, guys, I don't actually know who sent this replay into me. It was one of the ones that came through YouTube, and I don't really know if people want me to read out their YouTube names in these at all. So if you do want to shout out in future and you're sending me it through some other medium other than FAF, please feel free to include your FAF name, and I'll make sure I give you wonderful credit and props for finding us all these wonderful replays, which we all love and adore. Keep them coming in, guys, as always. Anyway, today's game is going to take place on Certis Major, and the fellas are gating in as we speak, so let's head on over to the game zone and see how they're going to get on. Certis Major, of course, no, it needs very little explanation. They've got this wonderful figure eight, a plateau in the middle with multi-levels in all of these different kind of locations. You end up with big fights generally kicking off here between these groups of mass points, these little apertures, and then of course there's this great big mass of mass in the middle that eventually gets taken down and reclaimed if you can get in there. Of course, early games defended by a couple of T1 point defense, the Eruptors for Aeon, and also the Mar, the T2 static flak for Aeon. So it takes a little while to get through those. Generally doesn't happen immediately. Anyway, looking at the starting locales, over here on the left-hand side, we have Clan Tag Seaton. He's going Cybrin in the blue corner, opening first land, all very standard. Going to get a couple of mechs, as I imagine the second factory is going down here, but he's being cryptic as to what that's going to be for the moment. Over here on the right-hand side, we have BC's Usuk Madik, or Madi. And he's gone first land, second air, and he's getting that adjacency bonus. In fact, he's going to town on adjacency bonuses. He's filling all of the unused space with T1 power gens. That should take the edge off somewhat on producing extra planes. So that'll be interesting to see how they get on with that. And this is another little trick, of course, essential, I think, to successful Certis Major play. You've got to get your commander in against the cliff and use him to build a factory up on this ledge. Why is that, you say? Well, imagine you're trying to get engineers down here to snag these mass points in here and in here. You would literally have to drag him all the way around here, and it's much quicker to get a brand new factory up. And it's less time for reinforcements to get there, and this is going to be key fighting areas. So you get him in here, and he does a little bit of through cliff building just like that. It's very easy, you see, for these guys. Very advanced technology they've got. You can build through walls. Can't wait for that. I'm going to do all kinds of crazy things to my house when we manage to master that, but we're happening the same thing over here for Tag Seaton. He's got an engineer right up against the Nook, and he's allowing him to build the factory just on the edge there. I don't think he can actually do it down here if memory serves, because of course the build range for engineers is dramatically shorter than that of ACUs. But anyway, he's going to grab that. It's a nice little path as well, because it's kind of redundant. Other than reclaim, there's not a lot for an engineer to do down here once he's snagged that mass point. So it allows him to get reinforcements up here very quickly indeed. He's done the same actually up here. It was probably an ACU build, so he's got another one up there as well, and that's going to give Seaton some nice movement in terms of reinforcement. But Seaton's being a little bit slower on the expansion than Maddie. Maddie's got already an engineer right up here at the top, about to start work on these 4 core mass points, and you've got another 3 up here at the top that you can grab as well. He's already got almost all 3 of these mass points online already, whereas Seaton's only just starting them with his commander now. So definitely in terms of mass, you can see the difference. It's 25 plays 23. So actually, no, sorry, it was obviously a bit of reclaim going down there. It looked like 23 to 17 was actually a little bit more realistic. But the first engagement's kicking off over here, and Tag Seaton not focusing on the flare has allowed that flare to pick up an engineer. A little bit unnecessary, but of course there's no great hampering because we've got this very nicely placed land factory here, following up engineer is just going to come in and reconstitute that mass point. And Maddie actually almost taking a early pot shot at this little base here, but I don't think he's thinking about it with his ACU. He needs to get those fervors on there first to take out those eruptors in the middle. Got a bomber out as well for Maddie. Circling over could do a lot worse than to snag these two engineers and hamper this expansion as best he can. Looking at the mass now, slightly in favor of Maddie. Just Reclaim telling false stories there for a moment. Got an interceptor on this bomber now. Did manage to snag that first engineer. Will it manage to get the next one? Seaton needs to micro this engineer out the way. Doesn't manage it. Bomber goes down, but it doesn't matter. It's done its job. 2 engineers out the way. And that's 6 mass per tick that won't be assisting Seaton anytime soon in the immediate future, because he's out of engineers. He's got one down here as well, which he could use, but he's also got the commander, which he could be working on that. Now, right in the center, Maddie going full-blown attack. He needs to get these fervors in range to take out this second eruptor, and then he's free to start reclaiming all he likes in this central area. Start using bombers in the area as well, which he hasn't previously been able to do. A few Mantis down here at the bottom, getting slightly harangued by that bomber. But a whole group of Mantis breaking through into Maddie's upper section of his mask territory. He's got very little in the area that can deal with it. He can get this eruptor online. He should be able to secure this land factory from this attack, but he needs to be quick. I don't know if he's going to manage it. If these Mantis carry on in this area, they should be able to snag it. Aurora using his range to the best effect he can. Engineer down at the top as well, so Maddie's lost control of this completely. Down here in the meantime as well, a few extra Mantis going to work on that aperture. Going to get probably at least 2 of those mass points down. There he goes. He micros them in now. He could get a third one, but he's not going to manage it. Actually, as an Obsidian coming in, one-shots that Mantis. So he's made the transition to T2 Maddie. That could leave him light on the ground in terms of T1 units around the place, and this could be a problem. A few extra units from Seaton into Maddie's base, taking out yet another mass point. I think he's managed to close him down, has Maddie, with a few of these Auroras. But Seaton being very good with his mobile warfare. He's got units all over the place. He's denying things nicely. Maddie being a little bit better perhaps with his variants of units. He's up to T2 land. He's been using air pretty effectively. Although, speaking of which, we've got a bomber coming in over the top now for Seaton, snagging what looked like 3 engineers there. Very nice play indeed. There is a static AA, which manages to knock him out of the sky. Still, there are circling interceptors which should probably head home, taking unnecessary damage, going down one at a time. I think that is probably a bit of a mistake. Down here, though, a few Obsidians in place for Maddie. Make a bit of a mess of this group of Mantis. They get micro, taking some Medusa fire as well, which of course temporarily disabling them, which is never nice. Another little run by though from Seaton, getting into the main base, focusing in on some of these mexes and engineers. Another one down. Maddie unable to secure his borders. He's got T1 coming in all over the place. One saving grace could be the T2 that's kicking around the area. 9,000 in the energy tank for Seaton, so Seaton will be able to overcharge these Obsidians as and when they get too close to this little base. So this little upgrade in tech for the moment, not going to win Maddie any big victories. Seaton right the way through at the top now with this group of Mantis. These had been rebuilt, group of mass points for Maddie, but once again they go down, and things looking rather good for Seaton at the moment. Shouldn't think this group of Auroras is going to get anything done. They probably get popped one after another, and literally a couple of Medusas in this piles. All they need now, take out this Eruptor, and that will be the end of any more reinforcements from up here. Although there's a few more Auroras coming in from the south. I could potentially have spoken too soon. Maddie's moved out with his commander over here as well. He's going to start rebuilding some factories. I think that's a good move, dude. You need to get more stuff on the field. Yet more air factories going down for Seaton. That will make 3 T1 air factories in his main base. That will give him a very good production capability for mass T1 air spam. Now we're seeing some of these Obsidians coming, taking a few shots at these Mantis. Can just literally one-shot these Mantis. Gotta love the Obsidian, so tanky as well. Got a little bit of a speed increase along with some other T2 units in the, well, the latest major round of balance patching, not the actual latest one, 3621 or 22, whichever one it was. So they're X amount more dangerous now, but loads of T1 PD going down now for Seaton. He wants to secure this area and protect these T1 mass points. I've actually seen him do this. He feels very strongly that he needs to protect T1 mass points. You'll probably see him do it all over the place. I've seen him do it in other games. And over the end of the game, you might still have certain T1 mass points, but he'll have like 6 or 7 T1 PD surrounding them, having not upgraded them. But I suppose you get those defenses in places. You're free to upgrade when you want. Now a large group of Mantis, though, coming in from Seaton. Shields down for a bunch of Madik. He must be having some power troubles, I think. I think they took quite that much damage. But they escape intact as best they can. Swatting those Medusas and Mantis. Large group of build capacity here that Maddie could pick up if he moves forward. The question is, what's his intel like down here? It's rubbish. He needs to get a radar up there ASAP. He's not going to know that they're all there and vulnerable. And we've actually got T3 on the field for Seaton, who's bypassed T2 altogether. Where is that actually coming from? First to spot a T3 factory wins a can of Coke that's basically all backwash. There it is. So we've got loyalists on the field already bypassing T2, and still quite a lot of Obsidians over here on the right hand side, but not really gaining any advantage with them. However, the ACU from Seaton has moved back to base, so he could potentially knock that out if he had brought in a few furthers as well. The T1 artilleries to take down those auto guns could be in a pretty good position to make a move on the rest of this down there. He needs to do something because he's definitely behind on eco. Talking around well, it's always tough to see, is that reclaim or not? What's he actually on? It did look like 73. It seems to be 73, plays around 53, 59 or something in terms of eco. Seaton of which being ahead. T2 air in play as well for Maddie. Coming over here down to the bottom. Not sure what he plans to do with that as yet. But it's definitely air tech versus air spam. Still no air tech on the cards for Seaton. Just going mass interceptor and things pretty quiet for the most part at the moment, although large angry group of units up here for Seaton, including what looks like on the face of it to be 5 loyalists, a bunch of Mantis spam with the occasional mole and Medusa in there for good measure, and this could be real trouble. I still don't see a great deal that's able to defend. This little base still alive up here. The eruptor did go down, but factory's still in place, so that was something for Maddie. Units from Seaton just kind of running by the edge of this territory, and it's weird, the face of it, it seems like a small map, but it is actually a 10k, so units taking just that little bit longer to get around the map than they would obviously if it was a 5k. A whole bunch of Obsidians have been dropped in by this T2 transport, which has got them bypassing this base altogether. Just heading north. Going to run into a whole bunch of landed interceptors from Seaton. Snag them as they go. Seaton not aware, taking 2 at a time in places. Finally they get lifted off. But now this is a whole bunch of T2 mass points in jeopardy, and just look at the alpha strike on those tanks. I love them. Hands down my favorite T2 unit. So much awesome win. sickness. But meanwhile, we've got similar woes up here for Maddie, only this time they involve T3 loyalists on the field. Maddie was trying to counter with renegades, but they just get instant by this huge wave of interceptors that come in from Seaton. They are getting dealt with now by the swift winds, of which Maddie has a decent amount, so could potentially wrestle air control. But the question is it too late? Is it all over? We've got groups of units up here going to take out a huge bunch of build capacity. This little northern section is under serious pressure if ever those units get moved forward to take it out. And now we've got a group of loyalists bearing down on Maddie's main base. There are a bunch of obsidians there. Yes, obsidians there, ready to deal with them, and actually faring pretty darn well against those loyalists. And that is why they are such a pimp unit. They're hardly damaged at all. One mass point down, but managed to deal with those nice and effectively. And still, we've got a couple of obsidians alive. They managed to make it into around the main base section of Seaton's base. Still, they head north. They have got a renegade on them. Sorry, I just realized I was calling these renegades, they're specters, of course, for Aeon. That's what Maddie has been using. So forgive me. I do get tangled up sometimes. It's the tiny, tiny quantity of brain matter that's actually in my skull. And finally, Seaton manages to deal with those as he switches up to bricks. I think that's a good move. Very little T1 on the field now for Maddie. Manages to finally clean up those units with those specters, but he has a whole new group of issues down here in the bottom aperture. Sounds a little bit rude, but you know what I mean. In come the specters once again. Of course, now that there's air control on the field for Maddie, he can start to make this tech switch in the air pay. Spectres going to work, will thin out those without any troubles. Maddie actually not looking too bad. He's lost a lot of map control. He's in a vastly smaller corner of the map than Seaton, but in terms of the quantity and type of units he's got on the field for the moment, he's doing okay, but could be about to lose 2 T2 mass points, which he doesn't want to lose at all. In come the Spectres to try and deal with those. I think they're going to get through him. Yes, they are. So that mass point survives with 1,000 HP. Thank goodness, Maddie, for his sake, that it does. Can't afford to lose any more of those and fall further behind Seaton in the eco game. And once again, 2 T1 mass points being very heavily defended indeed. So many T1 PDs and T1 anti-airs, but now we've got an attack from the Spectres coming in on this position that has held him up for so long. Both of the auto guns go down. Now they're switching to the mobile units. Bricks coming in, but they're not going to be any use against those Spectres at all. Take an awful long time to kill, however, and now we've got some bangers coming in, and the air is going to have to pull out or suffer very serious casualties indeed. Maddie, you need to pay attention to what's happening. He's going to lose all those gunships go down, and that's a real shame. He does manage to take down those 3 factories with a whole bunch of reinforcing obsidians, but now they're probably going to get their butts kicked by the bricks. Actually, I don't know. There's an awful lot of obsidians there. Had he moved those in, he might have been able to deal with them. But what he really needs to do, he needs to grab back this top section of the map, and he needs to do it fast if he's going to really stay in this. 21 minutes gone in this game, and still both players very much alive and kicking. And an upgrade going down for Maddie, going to turn that T2 air factory into a T3, get some ASFs and probably restorers on the field. Wouldn't be a bad idea at all, but he's late. He's behind the game. Seaton's already made the switch. He's got a whole bunch of ASFs alive and kicking. Looking very dangerous indeed. And that could transfer the nature of this game and the nature of the air control directly into Seaton's favor. To see how that works out as the game moves on. Meanwhile, a whole bunch of units accompanied with some bricks actually in here for Seaton heading towards the bottom section, the aperture, and they're going to be accompanied or at least shadowed by the newly constructed ASFs Seaton doesn't want any more issues with those Spectres, and now we've got a spy plane out as well for Maddie. So Maddie completing that transition into T3 Air, has one online, hasn't started production of any ASFs yet, but he needs to get on that because he's going to be behind the game as it is. It's actually one very lonely Renegade down here for Seaton, sitting there in the bottom corner. Whole bunch of units now coming in, and this recently constructed land factory not gonna achieve anything in life, promptly gonna get annihilated by encroaching bricks. Bunch of build capacity standing by it, also gonna suffer the same fate. 3 mass points, two of which were T2, are gonna go down. Maddie losing mass that he really can't afford to. Renegade takes off, gonna work on these 2 T1 mass points. Oh, 20 hit points on that one as that Renegade bugs out. Not going to be able to complete the challenge with that because there's an Ascendant in the area, but 4 Mantis have been dispatched to deal with it. That is the end of it. So many Obsidians, and now flanked with Oblivions as well. It's an O-ring nightmare. And those bricks all at the left of that forward group along with that banger, they're going to retreat. Don't fancy their chances up against that. I don't really blame them. Meanwhile, in the middle, still plenty of stuff that could be reclaimed. Looks like Seaton might be getting on that. Finally, Maddie looks to be expanding up here. So much mass he could be getting his hands on. A bunch of engineers going up behind these Auroras. There is one very annoying Mantis sitting here, and he could potentially pick up an engineer that has queued up a building on that already. But now we're going to see the first T3 engagements. It's going to be Restorers first against Cybrin ASFs. Cybrin ASFs kind of switching their focus towards the Swift Winds. Whole new bunch come in though, finish off that one Restorer that was punishing those bricks. And air control for the moment definitely in the hands of Seaton. 1 ASF, 2, 3 ASFs down in that little pile at the end there for Maddie. Just too many ASFs on the field for Seaton. And finally, one of these bricks is going to go down. Huge bunch of Obsidians closing the gap. And, Maddie not looking like he's too sure where he wants to send them. He's going to park them up on the cliff and use that little bit of relief of that land to shield him slightly. Very little activity happening up here at the top of the map, which is quite unusual. All seems to be going on down here. So many ASFs on the field for Seaton, it's scary, and Maddie needs to step up production of his air, which he's done. That's a lot of assistance he's got on that factory. How does it compare? Well, it's much of a muchness. There isn't a great deal in it, I don't think. Once again, game slows down at minute 27, a little bit of respite. Obsidians moving up around the edge. I think they need to be that afraid of these bricks. He could probably deal with these 3 bricks with the amount he's got there, potentially. But the bricks approaching through the middle could be another problem altogether. There's virtually nothing up here in terms of D, static D, for him to be able to slow it down. These Oblivion turrets down here pretty well positioned to defend against anything coming this way, but through the middle it's still looking very vulnerable indeed. And finally, these engineers getting up here for Maddie, going to grab some more of that mass back. ASFs and spy planes going down there for Seaton as they give you some kind of read on what's going on. And what was I saying? Immediately I said I thought they could take those 3 bricks. Apparently not. 2 bricks remain on half health. All Obsidians down. So it really needs to be now T3 or nothing. Those T2 units aren't going to cut the mustard anymore. And it's interesting. We'll see where the queue order is on these bricks. Coming to the edge initially, probably so they can fire down on some of these mass points. It'd be a shame if he loses. One's T3, one's upgraded to T3. One Restorer out to try and put some damage on those bricks. A whole swathe of ASFs come to respond from Seaton to take it out immediately. And bug out before reinforcements come in to deal too much damage to his Air Force. Bricks straying into Oblivion turret range as they mount the cliffs, and this is going to be very annoying indeed for Maddie. basically, effectively, all intents and purposes, 2-3 mass points down, and they're also in range of some T2 power gens, which is very bad indeed. One goes down, takes a whole lot of build capacity with it in the ensuing explosion. He can probably reach this one down here as well. Now, Maddie's getting his commander up there. Mercy's coming in as well, so Maddie really using everything in the Aeon arsenal to deal with this. But meanwhile, the longer this is going down, the longer this takes to go down, the more map control he could potentially be ceding to Seaton, although Seaton's not making any push up here at all, which is rather strange in my mind. Apart from the action going on this cliff edge, there's virtually nothing happening on the rest of the map. Maddie manages to combination overcharge and Mercy snag that brick that was sitting on the cliff face, and the rest of these bricks are going to head north. Still going with the Mercy option. Generally the sign of desperation. Doesn't have anything else to deal with them, and yet more bricks coming in across the middle from Seaton. Make life inherently difficult. Need to see some harbingers or something on the field from Maddie. He needs a counter to these effectively on the land. Either that, just go straight for experimentals, get some GCs on the go, because at the moment he's not got anything to deal with them. Not that. Black back up to +2. And one Medusa. Oh, focus. Maddie loses that T2 and could be about to lose all of these engineers to one Medusa. That is going to be a very well rewarded unit indeed. He's going to get home. He's going to have a ticket tape parade. All of that jazz. Some very happy symbionts from that level of initiative. One lonely T1 unit taking down so much build capacity. But you can't blame Maddie. He's got a brick-shaped problem in his main base, and if that doesn't grab your attention, don't know what will. So still, one Mantis up here, sitting on 3 kills, denying that mass point for the Aeon cause, and that one Medusa up here, sitting on 11 kills. Look like 10 T1 engineers and 1 T2. And once again, another lull in activity. Both these guys sort of feeling like, what have they got to do to break their opponent? Seaton's, though, definitely got the better of it. He's started to work on a Monkey Lord. In fact, nearly finished it, up to 41,000 HP of the 45,000 HP. And a GC nearly finished as well. So not only if I'd said it earlier, they promptly pop along. 70,000 hit points done of 100,000, or the best part of, for that GC. I don't understand that. Why would you... Is it just to save room on that? Why not make it 100,000 hit points instead of 999,000? Or sorry, not 999,000, but 99,999. I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. Perhaps some clever FAF could tell me. Some TMD going down for Madik. And it's quite interesting, actually. I haven't seen much TMD on the field, but also haven't seen any TMLs. No tactical missile launchers at all. This is kind of the perfect map for it. 1 or 2 here in the middle. Gives you great coverage, and you wouldn't have to send any units in to take this out. You literally just snipe them. And there's nothing in the way of build capacity up there to build any TMD for Maddie, so that could have been a very nice decision for Seaton. Meanwhile, large air engagement happening over here on this side of the map. ASFs from both players, mostly, though, in terms of number, favouring Seaton. Some good micro going on, though, from Maddie. Constantly getting in behind, and this is going really bad for Seaton, who had massive number superiority. Just got owned in the air by Maddie. Very nice indeed. Usuk Madik. That was some pro airplay. If you're wondering what people are talking about when they say air micro, that's it. Keeping your ASFs behind your opponents so they're constantly firing in your opponent's arm. It's not easy to do. Micro fail, says Seaton. Yes, indeed. That has not gone well. I mean, it looked like he had 2 to 1 at one point in terms of, maybe more in terms of numbers, but very well played. That was a really bad air engagement for Seaton, who's managed to fall behind in the air game, having been ahead for about the last 20 minutes or so. 35 minutes gone in this game. And curious as to why the Monkey Lord is going in that direction. It's probably because there's a GC out and he's seen it. And he's hightailing it away. Needs some more reinforcements. Another Monkey Lord would do it. And there is one in production. Looks to be around 35 to 40% done. And when that comes along, they probably feel like they can take that. But still, these annoying bricks in the area for Seaton. Just winding Maddie up all day. I feel your pain. One Oblivion turret in the area. Managing to miss these bricks. And now some Spectres coming in to help finish off that brick. How many of these T2 mass points will he snag, though, if any? Needs to probably focus in on those. There's nothing of interest on that cliff. Doesn't snag any. Only he'd had some direct communication with that robot. Could have told him to, hey, start being retarded. Not sure that's how his commander speaks, but just adding a little bit of air of cultural diversity to the whole thing. And I don't really know why that GC is running away from that Monkey Lord. If that was me, I'd be in there taking him. Take him out, deal with those bricks. Things will look a lot healthier for you. Is there another one being built? Not for the moment. He needs more power. It's actually interesting. 4.4k power and not using a great deal of it at the moment, but things were probably different when he was building that GC. But 150 odd mass, or 130 odd mass income versus 100. So pretty significant advantage in terms of eco still for Seaton. These little T2 P-Gen farms with over bubbling shielding. So another monkey is online. Cease production of any of that for the moment. Still working on getting core mass extractors up to T3. Huge lull in activity now. It's going to turn into an experimental fight in 38 minutes gone. Quite a long Certus Major already. They're going to be working on a T2 radar system, of course. They won't give them any advance warning of the Monkey Lord. You need your Omni for that. You've got to think that the monkeys are going to be accompanying these bricks, so that will give Maddie some kind of idea of what to expect. Let's take a look at the intel as it stands. Give him a huge amount of stuff that he didn't know about. GC moving forward, gonna snag a brick right on the corner. Interesting that that makes Seaton run away. Of course, it's all very difficult with experimentals. People who say, why aren't you sending those in? Well, if it doesn't go well for him, you're just dumping mass on your opponent's base, which you've got to be very careful for. But now this GC has been caught in retreat. Monkey Lord's chasing him down, and that GC is going to go down, causing very little damage as well. So that has not gone well for Maddie. That definitely evens up the ASF loss earlier. Another GC has been started. Huge line of PD goes down. And once again, the air focus potentially shifting. We get another air fight over the top for... Oh, looks like they might go in favor. I was about to say for Maddie, but didn't quite get close enough there. Actually, looking like it's going pretty well again. Seaton losing out again. He can't believe it. So still air control firmly in Aeon hands. Oh, that's got to be annoying. Taking unnecessary fire from those Monkey Lords, grabs those out of there. Still unable to lock down this upper territory, though. Maddie suffering on that front. Way behind in the mass game now. And the first engineer out to the front, bizarrely, is actually one of Seaton's. So he's going to be able to snag the reclaim on that wreck. It's like, sweet mass. He's actually got a full mass bar, and you might think, no, don't waste it when it gets to full. But you know what? Better than it ends up in Maddie's hands, so he's not going to take his foot off the accelerator at all. He's going to go right the way until that wreck goes down. Of course, it will allow him to get building, and he's moving up to crabs. Wants to get some range and some tank in there in his experimental game. Once again, though, he's doing quite well on producing the ASF, so you're really seeing here how much impact on the game Seaton's better economy at this stage is having. Able to replenish his stocks of ASFs very quickly indeed, whilst building large robots of doom. Of course, it helped that got all the mass out of that Colossus. Imagine it's going to look slightly different now if we take a quick look at his eco. Well, not really. He is sitting pretty. Still producing ASFs at a good rate, whilst building more crabs. But a new GC in production for Maddie. Has to be one of the strangest Certists I've seen in a while. Lots of ASFs on the field now for both teams. Restore is going to work on this brick up here. It looked like Seaton was going to go and try and snag them, but he's probably got intel coverage that the ASFs for Maddie are circling, and he doesn't want to lose all his planes again by throwing them away without any real care or attention. I don't blame him. That's two very nasty losses, but could potentially have won the game for Seaton already if he hadn't lost those units, if he'd had the better of the air game. I think there would have been a great deal to stop him. But now there's a crab operational, marching towards the front lines. These two monkeys looking a little bit healthier. This bottom one, the lowest one, on around 1300 HP or so. When I say 1300, of course I mean 13,000. I say things that are wrong just for fun. I don't really mean them. Something you guys will all learn about me. Still, this brick up here taking damage. Probably more than likely another brick. There's no way it would have taken two restorers that long to get through it. And while GC getting up here, finally going to snag these bricks if he can hit them. Two down, and this final one's going to go down as well, and that means these mass extractors might actually be able to fall back into Maddie's hands. And this crab is being redeployed, senses the danger, doesn't want a GC strolling down here and into his main base, and it's going to be a while before the next one gets up. He's working on another Megabot. Finally, those restorers go down. It's a nice snag, catches Maddie's air napping, gets in, grabs those two restorers and gets back out, keeps those two monkeys in pretty reasonable health. 14,500 HP now on that that weaker bot. Is that the same GC? It is the same GC. Is he producing another one? Yes, he is. So that's around about 60% done. Can't get over what a strange Certis this is. Pretty low on the unit count across the game. It's been high tech, low units. Be quite interesting to see how it develops as the game goes on. Another T2 radar system going down, the last one having been swatted in that engagement. Once again, not going to tell him anything about the location of those monkey lords, but he's got spy planes to cover for that, which he's doing periodical passes with. There's actually crab in there as well. Does he actually know what that is the question. He doesn't. He knows there's something there, but he doesn't know what, and he's about to get some big shiny red artillery shells firing into his base. It's going straight after the Oblivion turrets at the front entrance. There's a GC down here, another one very nearly finished. In fact, it's about to be finished, but all of those Oblivion turrets are going down. Love the alpha strike on that thing. So much power in those crabs. Gotta admit though, I'd be laying crab eggs as I go with this thing, producing bricks. He's probably got, no he doesn't, he's using all of his mass up, so that is why he's not doing it. Oblivion turrets getting a firing solution from the main base sometimes as they get closer and managing to hit that front monkey lord, but we've got GCs coming in from two angles. Front monkey's down, they're primarying the second monkey, that goes down, and now it's two reasonably healthy GCs versus a crab, and I'm sorry to say that means that crab is going to lose. No matter how many HP you've got, you cannot contend with that much damage, and that's a huge bunch of mass that's just been delivered from Seaton onto the doorstep of Maddie's base, and another air engagement kicking off. And once again, it looks like Maddie's going to get the better of it. Now, can someone please tell me, is there an imbalance issue at the moment? Strap bombers coming in overhead. The cliff sheltering Maddie's commander perfectly. Seaton's having a terrible day at work. Everything's going wrong for him. Literally, his boss has come in and he's found him bending his secretary over the desk. No, moving on. It's a family show. Won't go down that road. Down there, bad things lie. But seriously, I can't understand. I mean, admittedly, the first maybe 2 engagements, it looked like Seaton did get outmaneuvered. But that looked like a pretty even fight. I don't know. You guys are going to be able to replay this over and over again and tell me what you think. But I don't know, man. Is the Aeon ASF that much more powerful than everything else at the moment? Because if that's the case, that needs to get fixed pronto, bruv, if you know what I'm saying. Meanwhile, 1 GC left on the field over here in the middle, rolling on towards Seaton's base. But he's doing so much better on general eco. He's got another crab up before you can say anti-disestablishmentarian. It's distinctly minty Monty. That's an in-joke. If you haven't seen Blackadder, go and watch it immediately. But so much mass down here. This is going to change the game dramatically. You've got a GC that's gone down there. You've got 2 monkeys and a crab just waiting to be snagged. And this is actually where some tac missiles up here, you don't even need to use them on the mass points, but they come in really handy. You could tac missile all these wrecks and deny Maddie from getting back into this game, which he's surely going to do now. He's got so much access to mass, which is so close to his base as well. It's in very safe, comparable territory. GC not making up his mind. He suffers from ADD. He's seen a bee. He's going to go chasing it off towards the middle all the time, taking artillery fire in the back of the head. That's a very poor decision indeed, but of course he doesn't want to offer yet more mass into the arms of Maddie. He's lost far too much HP to even hope to contend with that Megabot, but at least he's got it out into the middle. He's going to shed what HP he can, but what's he actually shooting at? I don't know. The HP isn't moving on that Megabot, and that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. That looks like a height map issue. It's not a bug, it was a height map issue. How unfortunate. Going after the ground underneath that Megabot. Why do I get a feeling that after this game there's going to be a whole bunch of people writing forum posts and linking it? Some strange things going on. I think that was hitting the ground underneath the Megabot rather than going after the actual Megabot itself. Probably have to relook over this replay and see what his range was. It could potentially, I suppose, have just been that bug where the GC is actually firing, but or looks like it's firing, but it's not after anything. But I shouldn't think it's going to worry Maddie too much, who's not moved his commander since that cliff saved him. Those strap bombers never came around for another pass. Obviously, they got completely annihilated by those groups of ASFs. That was fair of you, says Seaton. Not sure what that's referring to. Saying or apologizing for being lucky, perhaps. Now another crab coming in down here. There's a lot of engineers that are looking a little bit vulnerable. Could do with moving up this GC to help defend them. Needs the time to get as much of that done as possible. Get as much of that wreck reclaimed. Another GC queued up after that P-Gen gets completed. Spy planes going up over the middle, but all of that build capacity except for one goes down, and that's a little bit of a mistake. That's going to really bolster or continue to bolster Maddie's economy as he continues to build experimentals. It's amazing. You think the amount of map control that Seaton's had over the course of this game hasn't managed to close it out. He's probably going to be upset that this game's being casted. He's been pretty unlucky, I'd say, though, to be fair. The air engagements have gone very badly for him indeed. Certainly the first one was down to micro, I know that much. Potentially the second one as well, but I don't know what went on in that third one. Now 2 GCs can get up there, and another group of engineers in place, reclaiming to their heart's content. So that actually doing so, filling that mass bar very healthily indeed. Knock this back up to +2, since a lot seems to be happening right now. It is purely about the eco stage as we pass minute 55 in this game. It's quite extraordinary to think, but not much really. Well, I mean, we've had a bunch of air fights and a bunch of experimental fights, but the face of the game really hasn't changed for the last 20 to 25 minutes or so, maybe longer. Which is quite extraordinary. These guys don't seem to have any answer. There's been no sort of rush to nuke launches or anything like that. It has been build land experimentals, send them at enemy, reclaim wrecks, build land experimentals, and so on. For the moment, very strange game indeed. I can't remember. I don't think I've ever actually seen a Certus Major game at this level go on this long. When I say this level, I mean over 1500s. Obviously, when you get down to the lower end, games can go on forever no matter what map size you're on. But we've got a strap bomber circling overhead. Looks like it was going to go after those bricks, but instead heads peculiarly over the middle and gets snagged by Seaton's Air Force, who promptly retreats in the face of overwhelming odds. It's a hell of a lot of ASFs that Maddie has managed to accumulate. Another strap bomber out though, however. Should be able to use those to take these bricks out. Eventually, still that Medusa, Hero Medusa, is sitting up there at the top with his 11 kills. And now spamming of Spectres as well. He's probably going to use those to go after the bricks. That would make sense. Definitely hope to grab them, or at very least maybe potentially provoke an air fight. ASFs do get launched from Seaton's end of the map. Really know what that bomber is trying to accomplish, but 3 of the GCs for Maddie, the fact is that all 3, I think that's all 3 of them at the moment, are now sitting around on this map. He could grab these 3 from Seaton, grab these 3 up here, still T1 mass points, and this is what I was talking about earlier. Look at the amount of static T1 defense that's guarding those T1 mass points. See, this could be what was happening earlier, and the Megabot could have been out of range. Sometimes GCs like to just leave that laser on. It looked like it was doing nothing, like he had some kind of impenetrable shield, but it's more the case that it was just generally firing in that direction. That's the thing about this game. It does do strange things now and again. They're not actually strange, they work. It's just that the game mechanics are fluid and complicated, and the fact that it's not like StarCraft where every single shot that's fired will hit its target. It's, you know, Twitch-based, so to speak. Spectres going in, grabbing that brick, and game changing dramatically at this stage. It's looking very different indeed. Seaton down here in his base hasn't been producing any more experimentals for the moment. Not sure what it is he's actually working on, but he's dramatically losing map control as this goes on. Spectres wiping out these mass points around the map, and whether or not there is an imbalance in tech, either way, Maddie, an imbalance here between the different types of ASFs, either way, Maddie has an advantage in the air, but there are 3 crabs for Seaton in the middle, so he hasn't been producing any right now, but he's certainly got a few on the go. But 3 crabs and 4 GCs with another one on the way. This game has taken a turn towards the bizarre, and it took that turn about half an hour ago as we passed the 1 hour mark in this game on Certus Major. I can't quite believe I'm saying that. It's very strange. Whole bunch of T1 anti-air swat these Spectres out of the sky as they come over to try and take down this T2 mass extractor, which is in the process of upgrading to T3. So Seaton is going to do smaller, high-value mass extractors up to T3 with lots of anti-air there to protect them. Very nice indeed. I do like that strat. Still, he managed to hold on to these. I'm not sure how, since the GC literally walked right past them. Surely could have grabbed those. It would be 3 T2 mexes he would have been without had Maddie gone after them. Still more experimental posturing in the middle. Neither side wanting to commit to the large final battle that surely is brewing. These guys just won't engage. Another GC online brings us up to a total of 5, I believe, unless there's another one kicking around somewhere else I haven't seen. More strap bombers being produced occasionally. Neither of these guys know what to do. They're just going to build up to as many as is humanly possible. Nuke silo gone down for Seaton, and nuke defense. So Seaton knows he's got to do something to break this deadlock that's going on. And that nuke is in production, and so is that nuke defense. A few spy planes going over to see if there's any nuke defense in Maddie's base, and you know what? I can't see any. It's a pretty underdeveloped, underwhelming base as far as bases go for this stage in the game. Maddie clearly not a turtler. All of his stuff goes into units. Large engagement in the air brewing. Doesn't want to get involved over the top of all that bank of T1 unnecessarily. So promptly stays out of the way. But look how bad T1 is against, say, T3 spy planes. Can't even hit them. They fly too fast and too high. So many ASFs on the field now for Maddie. Needs to be a little bit careful. A whole bunch of them very low on fuel indeed, as you would expect after this period of time flying around the map. That is a scary sight, man. Building GCs like they're Auroras at the moment. Still just kind of searching around the map for some kind of big air engagement, and it looks like he's actually going to go full-blown in. Takes out a couple of transports on the way. Going to get in behind that Air Force. Oh no, that's gone bad for Seaton. Maddie's just got too many planes. He can disregard all of that anti-air. Doesn't mean anything to him. Going to get a nice turn on there. Shattering that group of ASFs of Seaton's from the side, and Seaton just lost his Air Force. Oh my god. Pulls south trying to get away, but there is no escape. Maddie is out for blood in terms of aircraft. In fact, he's not going after them, which is quite interesting. I suppose there's a bunch of anti-air down here, which he doesn't want to take any unnecessary damage from, but flies over quite a lot of bangers out there in the middle. Loses a few extra planes. That definitely went in favor of Maddie, who's producing strap bombers, so we could have a snipe on the cards. You can't tell me you're not going to engage with all these experimentals. That would be horrendous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now online for Maddie. Any more being built? Are you done yet? I don't think he is for the moment. Another crab in production, very nearly finished. That brings him up to 4, but I'll take 6 GCs against 4 crabs any day. Finally, that small group of mass points up here at the top are back in Maddie's possession. Maddie basically has managed to even up map control back to around the 50% mark, which it really hasn't been for at least the last 45 minutes, maybe longer. Seaton has had the majority of this map, but he's been unable to do anything with it, and now we've got the march of the GCs. I feel like we need some kind of special music here from Fantasia as they go rather clumsily clunking through the central aperture. You can see the crabs in the background running for cover. Yeah, there's a seafood platter with your name on it, Mr. Krabs, and they know it, so they're going to get back under or away to someplace a little bit safer. Now those GCs heading south. Actually, it could be that the crabs just want to force a fight in friendlier territory. In come the GCs. Lots of damage to be wrecked down here. Crabs lining up, going for this Colossus on the side. ASF's coming in over the top to ward off any potential gunships. First GC down. They all focus on this left-hand side, or this bottom one, sorry, I should say. But a whole bunch of strap bombers in the air. Maddie has really focused on those. Could potentially go for a snipe as well. So Crab down. Another GC down, however. Another GC down. Surely another pass of strap bombers help finish off that second Crab. 3 GCs versus 2 Crabs. These strap bombers really paying dividends. It's gonna be close. Another Crab down, and it really isn't in the grand scheme of things. Strap bombers really changing things up there. How close is that nuke to being done? Around about 60-65%, I think. GCs have won the day. That will be the end of the Crabs. Another one just coming off the conveyor belt, however. But there's a lot of strap bombers in the sky. I wouldn't be surprised if they start going for the main base. Maddie has to be aware of that nuke launcher by now. He may not be aware how long it's been up and how close it is to firing. At last look, he didn't have any strat defense. In come the GCs. Gonna focus in on that forward Crab and then change their mind. They're gonna go after the shielding in the back edge, and that's what's covering Seaton right now. Like I said, there's been a bunch of strap bombers in the air. Comms not moving right now for Seaton. Surprising, there's a little bit of lag in the game. Seaton trying to move away with his commander as best he can. 1 GC down, only 1 left, but he's pretty healthy for the moment. He's focusing in on this Crab that's under construction, but we've got strap bombers coming in. This is going to take some pretty decent micro. Seaton, how you at it? Oh, I don't think you're going to get away, and he's not. Down he goes. 1 hour, 8 1/4 minutes. Seaton finally goes, and he's got to be a little bit gutted. He had map control for so long, he just couldn't finish Maddie off. He didn't seem to have the, I don't know, the impetus today. Sometimes it's like that. You get stuck in this game. You just think, oh, what do I do now? I got the feeling that was a little bit. Now, I know, and Seaton's an excellent player. I've seen him play many times. So, very unfortunate there. But, no, all credit where credit's due. Maddie did a superb job. Very nicely done indeed to come back into that one. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. More to come in the future as always. But for now, this is Gyle signing out.